the live stream right there. Then you should be able to see my screen. All right, then let's get right into it. After the class, I will post the lecture slides as well as a link to the video on the lecture material chat right here. Here you see, you will find all the previous lessons we have done so far, the PowerPoint as well as the video. Please do feel free to email us. Our emails, me and Mr. VM's email, is in the first PowerPoint, the first lesson of lesson 1, where you can ask questions after the class as well. All right, so let's get started. Today's lecture is quite a long one, but it's an exciting one. We're getting into the more difficult stuff now. At the end, we are going to be practicing some Olympiad paper questions, all right, to prepare the students who want to do the Olympiad. Also, if you don't want to do the Olympiad, it's also great practice to improve your Python programming. Some very good logical exercises. Okay, so today we'll be looking at functions and methods. But first, let's go through the homework. Okay, so your first question last week was to create a dictionary with 5 random integers ranging from 1 to 50 for the values, and then write a program to multiply all that values and then print the results. Is there anybody that wants to share their code with me? You can type your code in the chat. And did you find it difficult? How was it? How was the first question? Let's see. Right. Okay, so Keen started. Okay, so Christian, that is perfect. Give me your code. So let's see. Okay, let's go with the first one. Okay, so you import a random function. That's very good. You create a dictionary, and then for I in range 5. Okay, so here you create your 5 random numbers. You get your answer, and then you print your dictionary. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Let's see. And Christian, you import the random. You create a list of range 1 to 50, 5 random numbers, and then you assign each one. Okay, I see you assigned your multiplied value as a dictionary value. That is very interesting. All right. That's also a good solution. All right, and Kylie, thank you for participating. So let's see what Kylie did. Okay, also used the random function. I created 5 random integers. It's very interesting for me to see how everyone uses a different approach to get to the same solution. All right, I like this one. All right, so let's see what I did. All very good answer. Okay, so I started, also import the random function. Then I created a list. And then for I in range, starting at 0, ending at 5, I created 5 random integers from 1 to 50. Okay, so for the new students joining, this might be a bit advanced. I'm not sure exactly where you are with your Python programming, but after the class, please feel free to ask your questions, and I will help you with the previous lessons we've done so far. We started from absolute scratch to get up until this point. So if you follow along with the previous lectures, you will be able to understand these programs as well. Right. So what I did next then was I created a dictionary, and just assigning them the values data 1, data 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I assigned their keys as the numbers from the list we did here. I created a variable called result. I assigned the value of 1 to it. And then for each key in my dictionary, all I did was I took the result and I assigned it a new value of result, multiplying it by the current key for each key in this dictionary. So it will start at data 1, it'll see which key is in it, and it'll multiply this value to 1. Now, for example, if we have 2 here, then our first result will be 2. So then we go to the next data, the next value pair. So then let's say this number is 4. So then it will take 4 times the 2 times 4, then we will get 8, and so on until we get the final result. Okay, so let's see, I have I didn't simplify it at all. That is no problem. For the homework, I just want you to get it working. Oh, sorry, I see one of the new students said they can't hear me. Can anybody else hear me? Does anyone else have difficulty hearing me? We can hear you. Right. I think it might be a problem. Let's see. Then I'm not exactly sure. It might be a problem on their end if everybody else can hear me. Let me just quickly send a message. Okay, they are in the voice channel. I'm not exactly sure why they will not be able to hear me. Okay. Let me just reply. Maybe they have the live muted. Let's see. Oh, they are muted themselves, but not me. Okay, that is very interesting. Is the computer speaker unmuted? I've done that a few times in the past, where I accidentally muted my computer speaker. Okay, I see they're sharing the video now. Let me quickly ask, can you see the live stream? Right, sorry, I'll get back to the stream now. I just want to make sure that everybody can follow. All right. So while I wait for an answer, let's quickly look at the second one. Okay. So the second homework that I gave you was to write a Python program that creates a dictionary from a string. This dictionary should contain every unique character in the string, exactly one as a key. So what I wanted you to do is I wanted you to input a string. So here's my string. And then for each character in the string, I wanted you to count how many times that character occurs. So for example, we have one capital letter H, we have two letter E's. So then it goes and it says there's an E, and it counts how many E's there are. Then it looks for the amount of R's, the amount of white spaces, etc., etc. Okay, how was this question for everybody? Does anybody want to share their answers? Hard, yes, it was a bit more difficult, this one. That was the plan. Let me quickly just ask here. Oopsie. Sorry, let me just ask. We can't hear you. I could only. Right. Sorry for that. Technical difficulties is always a bit of a problem. Okay. I understood how the logic would work, but I could not get the code to work properly. All right. It is not a problem. It was a bit of a more difficult one. I do understand that. That was the plan. Okay. So I will show you what I did. Okay. So this is a bit of a very short solution. There are other ways to get there, but I try to do it as short as possible. So I started, here is my string. Then I created a dictionary. So I create an empty dictionary. Okay, so what I did now, for every letter in my string, so it starts, this is a for loop where we start at the first character. So then for the first character, we go H. So what I do now is I create the H as a value. No, not as a value, as a key. Sorry, as a key. So you remember when we looked at dictionaries. So if we quickly look at the answer here. So the first one is the key, and then you have the colon, and then you have the value. So it's key, value, key, value, key, value. So they work in pairs. Okay, so what I did was I started by assigning a new key. So I take H as the key. Then what I do, here's a neat little method. Okay, so today we'll get a bit more into methods, explaining exactly how they work. But here's a neat little method. We use the get. So we start with a string dic. So this is a string dictionary. So this is my my dictionary that I created, and I use the .get method. So what the .get method does, so it checks if the key exists and if there is a value assigned to it. If there's not a value assigned to it, then I can assign my own value. So what I do, if there's not a value assigned, I assign the value of 0. So what I do here is I say, we start with the first one, we say H. Okay, so H is a new key. Okay, is there a value for H? So there is currently no value for H. So we assign the value of 0, and then we plus 1. So that means for H, there will be now 1. So H will be 1. So that is where we get this. All right. So let's go on to the second one. So then it's done with H. So then we move on to the next character in the string. So we have the E. So what happens now is it creates the key for E right here, and then it checks, does E have a value? No, E is a new key, so there's no value yet. So we assign the value of 0, and then we plus 1. All right. We do the same for R. R is a new one, so we assign 0 and plus 1. Then we get to E again. So now what happens is it sees, okay, there's already an E. You'll remember we spoke about duplicates, where certain collection types can have duplicates and others can't. So a dictionary cannot have duplicates. So what happens is once it sees there is already an E, then it doesn't create a new E. You'll see E only appears in this range once. All right. So then E does not get created again, and it sees that E already has a value of 1. So it doesn't assign 0, because this only gets assigned in this method if there's no value. So then we use the 1 plus 1. So now E has a value of 2. And then it goes to the white space, this blank space there. As a new character, it creates, and so we go through the entire string one by one until we reach the end, and then we have created this dictionary that I show here, where each character is created as a key and it has a value. All right. I say, I saw your H is a capital. I'm wondering if I had a capital H and a regular H, would they be split? Yes, they would be split. So for strings, if they are not exactly the same, then it would be created as a new character. We can actually test that. So let's try a different string. So here is my string, thank you. Okay, hope you can see this code. So now you'll see I have a new H there. So let's see what happens now when I run this code. So there's my first H, and there you see there is my second H. So my second H is not a capital letter, but if everything is capitalized, so here's another neat little trick we can use. We can say string1 equals string1 dot, let's make it upper. So what happens now is we create, we changed the string to be only capital letters. So now the whole string will only be capital letters. That's also a neat little method. We'll get into methods now for this class. Then I'll show you how to find all the methods in Python. So you'll see here, all my letters are now capital letters in our result. So now we do not have that H anymore, the second H. Now we only have one. So now you'll see H and H are both counted in this first value, this key value pair. So now we have two instances of H. Right, I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'm glad they can see the live stream. All right. If there's any more technical problems after the class, I will try and figure it out with the new members. Okay, so do you understand the solution for number 2? Do you have any questions? Does it make sense? I'll leave the solution up for a few seconds so you can read through the lines. Okay, I see I have a message. You make it look so easy. I've struggled a lot in the past to get to where I am now. It was a lot of practice. All right, but thank you. I'm glad. I'll show you now how to find some methods for Python. How to find your own unique little solutions. And that is what we'll be getting into today. All right, so we'll look at methods now. So we've used a few methods before, but what exactly is a method? All right, I heard I have a new message, but I'm not sure where this new message came in from. Maybe I imagined general. Let's see. Oh, okay, we have a new member. All right. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Thank you for letting me know. I'm not very used to Discord always, so. All right, anyway, so methods. We've used a few methods before, but what are they? So a method is a piece of code executed on an object, okay? So it's implicitly used only on that specific object to access and sometimes even change the objects like data or value. So let's look at this. The .get, that is a method used on our dictionary. Here's another one. Let's look at this one. So on the string, so I created my string and then I used .upper. So upper is a method used on string. So this is a method we use to change the entire string to uppercase letters. All right. So you'll see there if I hover over upper, then I get a explanation of what it does. So it says it returns a copy of the string converted to uppercase. Okay, so that very easy. That is what a method is. Where am I now? Okay, so a method we've used before also on a list object is the append method. So a quick review. What happens with this program? Can anybody tell me what will be the output of this program? I'm giving you a few seconds so you can look. Only 4 lines of code. What does this do? Does anybody want to take a chance? What will this program print for us? You can see it prints. It prints numbers. Numbers is a list. But what is this list? Let's see. It will make a list with numbers 1 to 11. Right, that's what Keen said. Does everybody agree with Keen? Let's take a look. Does everybody agree? It will make a 2, print the numbers from 1 to 10, says Mapito. Didi agrees with Keen. All right, let's say Christian says 2. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see. I agree with Keen. All right, so very close. Mapito was correct. Keen very close to being correct, but not quite. So if you remember, in the range function, the first number is inclusive, so we start at 1, so it starts counting at 1. So it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the second number is exclusive for this range function. So 11 will not be included. So it will print, yes, exactly. 11 is exclusive. The inclusive or exclusive. Yes. So 11 is excluded. So we will print the... Okay, so what happens is I will first be 0. So 0 is not on our range, so 0 will be ignored. So then it will go to 1. So for range 1, the number 1 will be appended. So we take our empty list. So we have an empty list here. Then on this empty list, we use the method .append. So append means to add to the end, right? So append will add what to the end? It will add I to the end. So I will first be 1. So it will add 1 to the end. So because our list is empty, 1 will be at the front. Okay. So then we will move on to the next one. So I will be 2. 2 will be added, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so on. And then we have a list of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And with the print function, we will print our numbers. Right. I thought the I in numbers.append is a 1. Ah, I see. Sorry, my PowerPoint might be a bit small sometimes. Right. No, it is an I. Okay, great. So the append is a method we use. So we say it's a method because we perform an action on our list here, on our object. So this can be anything. This can be a string. This can be an integer, a dictionary, anything. So we perform this append method on numbers. So in this case, we edit the data of numbers. We edit the values. There are some methods where you do not edit. You only see what is inside, or you take a look, or where it doesn't edit it doesn't change the values themselves. Right. We'll take a look at some helpful methods now. There are countless built-in methods for all data types in Python. So I use a website also to help me with my Python called W3 Schools. I'll show you now, where they have an amazing resource archive for all sorts of questions you can have in Python and methods you can use. So let's take a look at string methods. There are so many of them. But it's all sorts of neat little things you can do, as I showed you in my code, in my example here, where I used .upper to convert my string to uppercase. So taking a look here, you'll see there's plenty. We can use on a string, we can say string1.capitalize, where we convert the first string to an uppercase. Casefold converts it into lowercase. Returns a centered string. We can count the number of times the specified value occurs in a string. So this one .count will not change the value or the data of our object. All right. We can encode. So you'll see there are a very large amount of built-in methods, and there's methods for every data type, for strings, for integers, for lists. So here you see, here's an example. Here you can see all the string methods. Let me actually quickly show you. Let's go to this website. I hope everybody can see. Okay, so here we are at the Python string methods. Okay, so you just follow this link, and here you can find all sorts of methods. So the one we used earlier was the upper. So then you just click on it, and here it explains very detailed what it does. So we can return the uppercase of the string. So we can make a variable called text. We can say we can call it hello my friends, and we can say text.toUpper, and then we can print that. So what happens? Let's try it ourselves. When we run this piece of code, you'll see here in the output we get our string all in capital letters. Let's try another one. Let's try one of the other ones we saw. Which one? Capitalize. All right, so let's do this. So I changed our string now to be to start with a lowercase letter, hello my friends, and then I'm going to use what is it? Capital. My word, why can't I spell now? Capitalize. I'm sorry, lies. Let's run this, and we should get the string returned with the first letter as a capital letter. This is just one example of many. Then you can see all the list methods. There's our append that we just spoke about. So we add an element to the end of the list. A clear, so we can remove all the copies of all the elements in the list, and so on and so on. All right. I have also used the reverse function. One of your previous homework assignments, you had to reverse a list. All right. Oh, I see. RTC disconnected. RTC, I'm not exactly sure. I will say I will upload the class to YouTube afterwards. All right. Then we can find a solution. All right, I'm sorry about the technical issues. It is always a trouble at this problem at the start to get everything working. Technology can be quite annoying sometimes. All right, so using the W3 Schools website, they have an abundance of resources for finding methods. Okay. Next on, we move to functions. So functions are very similar to methods. It is also a block of code executed when it is called, but unlike methods, functions are not performed on an object. Okay, so I noticed that the list lesson doesn't have a video. Yes, I realized my video file corrupted for the list lesson. When I wanted to upload it, then I'm not exactly sure what happened, but there came a problem when saving, and then I couldn't get the video working, unfortunately. If you have any questions about the list class, then I can help separately. But I'm sorry about the lists one. Yes, I noticed I did struggle a bit to get that video uploaded. Alright, but if you have any questions about that lecture, then please feel free to ask. I can give you that lecture separately again. Alright, then we can run through it together on Discord. Alright, but anyway, so let's move on. So on functions, functions are not performed on an object. A function can stand alone. We have been using a function in almost every single class. Does anybody know what function we've been using? Does anybody want to take a chance? A function that we've been using for almost all our assignments. Ah, yes, very good. The print function. All right. So we use print a lot. Okay. So why is print a function and not a method? So if we look at our code, so a method, we'll look at the dictionary example we did. Okay, so a method is performed on a object, but the print is not performed on an object. The print can stand alone. So we then enter an argument for the print. So our argument will be the string dictionary, but the print does not change or edit the data of our dictionary, and the print function can stand on its own. It is not performed on an object. Okay, so that is the difference between a function and a method. So Python also have a list of built-in functions, so we can actually take a look here, some of these functions, where we can say, for example, input is also a function where we can allow the user to input something, where we can, you all remember where we use input, and then we can put that input into a string, we can print it, we can put it into an integer. So that is also a standalone function. Right, so very easy. That's the difference between a function and a method. All right, so you can take a look here through all the different built-in functions we get in Python. These are all the standard functions that you get when you do not use libraries, when you do not import. The random object, when we want to create a random number, we import a library. So this is not in Python itself, in the normal version of Python. So here we add new functions, but these are the built-in functions when you do not import any other libraries. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So now we'll be looking at writing our own functions. Okay, so now we want to create a new function. So I want everybody to follow along. We're going to create a new file. So in PyCharm, just for the new members, you right-click on your folder up there once you have created a new project. Then you create a Python file. So we'll be calling this our own function. Okay, so our own function. You can call it anything, but I will be creating our own function. Okay, so we want to create a function the same as the print function. So the print function outputs to the console, but we're now going to create our own function. So we start with the keyword def. So this means define. So we're going to define a function. We're going to call this function hello world, right? Then remember your brackets and your colon. Now we enter the code that we want to happen once we print this. Okay, so we're going to create a very easy function where we just print. What do we print? We print hello world. All right. So here's our function. So what will happen when I run this? If I click run, what is going to happen if I run this program? What will be our output? Does anybody want to take a chance? What is going to happen? Keen says nothing. Let's see. Everybody says nothing. Why is nothing going to happen? We have our print function right there. And we remember when we use print, we get the output of whatever we have in the bracket. So why is nothing going to happen? Because you did not call the function. All right, so let's see. So I click and I run. And there you see nothing happens. The program starts. Nothing happens. And the program exits. It terminates. Okay, so we have to call. So same way as we call the function print, we're going to have to call our function hello world. So there's our function. So we call it in the exact same way as we call print. So I'm going to run this. And there we have our result of hello world. Okay, we did not call our function. So now we're going to create a bit of a more advanced function. So this one is will be taking parameters. Okay. So let's start. We're going to erase our function. So we're going to call this one sum of. Okay. So now hello world doesn't exist anymore. So now we're creating a new one. So we want to sum two values. So we're going to add parameters. So this function will need parameters to be executed. So we're going to have a variable called a and a variable called b. We can call it anything. Let's call it y. Let's call it x and y. Probably makes a bit more sense in a math context. All right. So we want to sum x and y. So what we're going to do now is this function will take two arguments, all right, two parameters. Okay. So then we're going to create a variable called sum, and we're going to take x and we will plus y. Then we will print the sum. Okay, so if I run this, nothing happens because we did not call it. So let us call sum of. Okay, so what is going to happen if I run this like as we do here? What will our results be if I run this line of code? Now we call sum of. Will this work? What does everybody say? What will be our result when I run this piece of code? Anybody wants to take a chance? Input. Let us see. We get an error. Why do we get an error? So we can read here, sum of missing two required arguments, x and y. So we have to enter our two arguments. So let's say 15 and 25. So when we run our code now, we get 40 because 15 plus 25 is 40. Right. So this is how we create our own function by also adding parameters. Okay, so let's change it a bit. So instead of printing our results, let us return our result. Okay, so what is going to happen now? Let's say sum of, let's make this an easy one. Let's take 5 and 5. So we know we should get 10. But what is going to happen when we run our code now? What will be the result? Anybody wants to take a chance? What is going to happen now? Nothing. Let us see. Would it still be an integer? Let's see what happens. Nothing happens. Why does nothing happen? So we return a value. So what happens now is we take 5 and so we input a 5 here as the first argument and 5 as the second argument. We can add any number of arguments. We can have a z, we can go x, y, z, a, b, c, d, up until as many arguments as we want. It is our own function. We can do with it just what we want. But for the sake of our example, we have 2 arguments. So we create a new variable called sum. X is 5, I is 5, y is 5 in this case, and now we return the value. So instead of printing the value as we did previously, this will give an integer as a result. So nothing happens now because we do not print it in our function anymore. So now we get an integer result. So we now have to assign this. So let us create a new variable and call it answer, and then we assign the result of this sum of to our variable. Okay. So then we can print this variable. So what happens now? Now we get 10. We can also make our code a bit shorter. Let us comment this out. So now the compiler will skip this line of code. So then we can directly print sum of 5 and let's say 3. And we can run this and we get the answer of 8. So what happens now is this function of ours will return a value instead of printing our value. Okay, so that is how we create our own functions. So as I just explained, we create a function with the sum of for the sum of two integers. We use the def keyword to define our function. We give our function a name. We can call it anything we want. We declare for this example that we will be using 2 parameters. Our function will then return the result. So we return an integer sum. Just a quick note here that Python does. So if we, for example, do not print something, sir, could you override an existing function? You can create a, as far as I'm aware, you can create, they call it overrides, where you can have a one function with, let's actually quickly look. I'm not exactly sure. Python overrides. Method overriding in Python. Yes, you can. So what you can do, how it works in other programming languages as well, is you can create a function with the same name, but with other variables. For example, we can have a sum of that has, let's quickly give this a go. So we have a sum of with no variable. So then let's say we assign 5 and 5 to it automatically. Then we assign a new function. We call it sum of, same function, but now we add the variables of x and y. And then we say sum equals x plus y, and then we print sum. Oops, I see I have a mistake here. So let's see what happens now. Let's remove these lines of code. Okay, so now we can run sum of. So when we run this, so I see it takes the newest one. Let's see here, reformat. Okay, so it takes the latest one. Yes, so we will be overriding this initial function. Okay, I'll take a bit more in-depth look at overriding on my own time afterwards to explain a bit more how that works. But I see in PyCharm, when we create a second function with the same name, then it ignores the first function and it moves on. It only looks at the second function. So now we got an error when we want to do sum of, because we're missing 2 arguments, x and y. So that means this first function has been overwritten. Okay, so to answer your question, you can override, you overwrite an existing function, not override an existing function. I'll take a bit more in-depth look and answer you after the class about how to override in Python. I'm normally a C# programmer. Could you do it? But could you do it with like print? Okay, all right. I'll take a look after the class to answer you properly on that. All right. I'm usually a C# programmer where we overwrite in a bit of a different way than I see Python does. But I will look at that this afternoon. All right, but that is a very good question. Thank you. Okay, so, but a quick note, what I wanted to talk about in Python specifically. So when we create a function as we do here, and we do not have a return keyword, then by default, this will return a value of none. So if we print, okay, so we already have a print in our function, but it doesn't return anything. So what happens now is if I'm going to print sum of, you will see, oh, sorry, oops. If we want to say 5 and 5, and we print this value. So what happens now is in our function, we print the answer, the sum, but when we want to print sum of separately, we get the value of none, because what happens is our return type, if there is no return, it returns a none value. All right, just a fun little fact about Python when you create your own function and there's no return keyword. Okay. Then, okay, so yeah, so as I just explained, what happens when we run our code? Nothing happens. We have to assign, when we return, we have to assign the value to a variable. All right, so the steps on creating our own functions. First, we use the def keyword to declare the function and follow this up with the function name. We add parameters to the function. That is optional. They should be within the parentheses of the function, and you end your line with a colon, as you can see there, within the parentheses, and you end with a colon. Right? You can add statements that the function should execute, and then you end your function with a return statement if it should return a value. Sometimes you want a function that does not return a value. So that is up to you. All right. Now, we will be starting with the Olympiad practice. Okay. I will be giving you about, let's say it is now 15 minutes to 4, sorry. At 4 o'clock, I will be showing you my solution, and I will show you how to test your solution on the Olympiad practice website. So let me quickly show you for our question. Let me just close these two. You can use the internet for today. In the Olympiad test, you will not be able to use the internet, but for today, it is fine. I want you to practice creating programs. Okay, so we want to see triangle types. Okay, so CPROT needs your help distinguishing between different types of triangles, given 3 angles, given as 3 positive integers in degrees. You must first determine if they constitute the angles of a triangle. Note that the angles in a triangle must add up to 180 degrees. Okay. If the angles form a triangle, you must then determine if it is an equilateral isosceles or scalene triangle. I have no idea how to pronounce this word. I'm sorry. So I want you to write a program that, when given 3 angles, determine what type of triangle they make. If no triangle can be made with the given angles, it must output impossible. Otherwise, if it makes an equilateral isosceles or scalene triangle, we must output the type of triangle it is. Okay, and note without the quotation marks. Okay, so an equilateral triangle has all 3 angles equal. An isosceles triangle, this triangle has only 2 angles equal, and a scalene triangle has 3 different angles. Okay, so then you'll see an example. If you input 3, 30, 60, and 70, you'll get the output impossible. So why do we get impossible? Because all the angles in a triangle must add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so this does not add up to 180 degrees, so we get impossible. If we input 40, 40, 100, we get this type of triangle. 50, 60, 70, we get this type of triangle. Okay, just to show you these type of triangles so it makes a bit more sense, here's the one that I cannot pronounce. Okay, so let's see. So for this triangle, only 2 angles are equal. Okay, and for the scalene triangle, it has 3 different angles. So here's the scalene triangle. So there you see every angle is different. And the equilateral triangle, every angle is the same. They all equal 60. Okay, so I will give you about 15 minutes. I'm setting my timer now. You can start. You don't have to finish now. But I want to show you how to upload your solution. Okay, so in PyCharm, you can start. I am going to stand up for a few minutes. I'll be back at my computer in about 13 minutes, and we will go through the solution. Any questions before I stand up? Any questions? I will leave the question on the screen so you can take a look. Okay, I see Kylie is typing. Let me leave this here until... all right, let me quickly see what the question is. It is pronounced Aeschylus. Okay, thank you very much. I should have checked the pronunciation before the class. All right, thank you. I'll be back in about 13 minutes. Good luck, and then we will go. Okay, Christian, yes, what is your question? Let's see. What is the link to the website you showed us? W3 Schools. Let me quickly show you. w3schools.com/Python. All right. www.w3schools.com/Python. All right. Okay. I will be hearing when a message comes through. So if you have any questions with this, please feel free to ask. I will answer shortly. And then at 4 o'clock, we will go through the solution and I will show you how to upload. All right. Good luck. Let me just quickly add the link. www.w3schools.com/Python. Just want to make sure that is the... oh, yes. Just a quick hint, you do not have to use it, but you can if you want to. There might be other ways to do it, but that is how I did it. We can use the map method. I'll show you how, but if you're struggling, you can take a look at what the map method does to guide you in the correct direction. Right, you have about 5 minutes left. I know it's a bit short for this question. I just want you to get started. Ah, Keen is done. Wow. Impressive, alright. Alright. Give about 4 minutes for some of the other members to also make some progress. Then I will go through a solution and I'll show you how to upload and test your solution. Right, about 3 minutes left. Let's see, done. Kylie is also done. Impressive. Okay. I see we are very close to 4 o'clock, and I don't want to go over the time too much. So I'll be showing you how to upload now. Alright, if you are not done, try and finish it on your own time afterwards. I will quickly run through a solution, but I'm not going to be spending too much time on that solution. I want you to try it yourself. We will look at it next week properly then. My main thing that I want to teach you now is how to upload and test your solutions. Alright, so let's take a look at what I did. So I used the map function. So I created a variable called sides. And I created a list. Okay, so what the map function does is we can let's look at the official explanation. So it makes an iterator. Okay, so for this, in this list function, in this sides variable, we create a list, and then we take the input from the user and we cast it to an integer. So what it does for the map, it creates an integer of our inputs. Then we use the split method on our input. So what that means is it looks for every white space, and then it splits at the white space. So let me show what I mean with that. So we can add 60. I enter a space, I add 60 again, and I enter a space and I add 60. So what happens now with this split is we're creating a list with value 60. Then it takes this white space as a delimiter. So what that means is it creates a new value then 60 is the second value, and 60 is the third value, the third 60. So when we enter this, then we get the answer of an equilateral triangle. So what is that? It is the triangle where all the corners, all the angles are equal. So as you can see here, first it checks if all the sum of all the sides does not equal 180, because if it does not equal 180, it is an impossible triangle. It doesn't exist. So then if sides 0 and 1, so this means side 1 and 2, if you remember, because we start counting at 0, so then it checks, are the first two sides equal, and then are the second two sides equal. And in our case, we get this to be true. All right. I want you to try this on your own. Next week, I will properly explain the solution, but I want to show you how to upload before we go too far over time. I did it differently, but it still works. Yes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test if your solution works. Okay. So here is the evaluator. Wait, let me quickly just go to evaluator. Okay. So up until here is, you'll also see in the first lecture we did, I spoke about the evaluator. You will find the website link there as well, but I'm going to add it for you there. Right. So then we're going to go for this Olympiad. We're doing the Programming Olympiad of 2019 round 1. All right. So then you look for the question you're busy with. So we did question 1, the triangle types. Okay, so here's my code for question 1, the triangle types. So then I look here on the left side, you'll see it. Let me just make it a bit bigger. Okay. So I'm looking for question 1, the triangles. Okay, so there I see the triangles. Then I go to submissions. Right, so now in submissions, I want to upload my solution. Okay, so I already did a few uploads, but I'll start from scratch to explain how it works. So I'm going to upload this code exactly here as it is. All right. So now I'm going to, it is a Python 3 file. So we select Python 3. I go and I browse. I find my solution. So I upload triangles. Okay. So I open it. So what happens now? After I click submit, now it tests all the values. It has a few test cases that it runs. Okay, so you see I got 0. So let's see why. I go to details and I go to subtask 1. So now you'll see here it says incorrect. First lines differ. So it expects to get the answer impossible, but it found the answer enter angles and then impossible. So why is that the case? Because in my solution, I get the user to input the angle, so then it has to be exactly the same as the test cases of the evaluator. So where I differ now is my output says enter angles and then the triangle type. So this should not be. So if we take out the input there, any solution you can get to get it working. I just want to show you how to figure out what is wrong. Okay, so let us try again to upload. Okay, so now you'll see when I run this, it will not have the values there. So I'm going to have 60, 60, 60, and then I just get the answers. So there will not be a first print, a first output. All right, so we're going to try this again. We're going to select triangles. It is a Python 3 file. We submit this, and it will test it again, our new Python 3 file. So it is running all the test cases, and now you see I get 100 because our outputs are exactly correct. All right, so that is how you will be testing your programs against the evaluator to see if you get the correct answers, if your program is truly correct. Right. I'll explain my solution a bit more in depth next week. I don't want to go overboard too much today. Today was a bit of a longer lesson, but I hope you did learn. And for your homework, I want you to also finish this first question, but you're going to be doing question 2 and question 3 of the Programming Olympiad 2019 round 1. I will be uploading these slides. So then what you'll be doing is you're going to look at the evaluator. You're going to go to 2019 round 1, and you'll be uploading every one of the questions. So you'll go to the question, submission, and then upload your submission, as I just showed you. If you get 0 or if you lose marks, you can click on the details tab and you can look at the tasks to see where you failed. And then based on your details, you can try and correct your program. All right. I hope this was a valuable lesson. Good luck. I'll upload the video and the slides now. And then I will see everybody next week. Does anybody have questions? I know we had some technical difficulties at the start, so I'm sorry that took a bit of our time away. Right, let's see. Thank you for your effort. I have no questions. All right. I will get back to you about the overriding methods. I took a look now while you were busy, and I see the overriding methods in Python is a bit out of our scope for this course. But if you want to know how to do it, then I can take a look and explain to you properly privately. All right. Anyway, thank you, everyone, and I will see you again next week. Good luck with the homework. And have a good weekend. Right, thank you. I will have a nice weekend, yes. Let's just see if everybody finished typing, so there's no other questions. All right. Then I'll stop.